This is the after chapter discussion for 10.03. And let's just get started. We'll start off with everyone's general impressions for the chapter. Anything you guys liked about it, anything you disliked about it, things you want to see more of, less of, that kind of thing. Your favorite scene, possibly. I will just start us off, and then Edron, I'll go to you in a moment. But I'll just say this was like a good 8 or 9 out of 10 chapter for me. I really, really enjoyed it. Just seeing the struggles that Ylawes and the Silver Swords were going through trying to deal with the Consortium were fantastic. And at the end of the day, how Ylawes dealt with everything and how he, kind of turned to the Poke duo to really deal with everything too was just fantastic. I really have always liked Ylawes. Well, not always. I've liked Ylawes' character since volume 8ish. He's come around from being like an overbearing brother on Yvonne to just being his own really cool character. I like how he views everything, even though he's pretty dense at times. But honestly, he's just a great character, and I really enjoyed seeing him kind of grow a bit at the very end and get the Oathbreaker skill, which was very interesting. Otherwise, this was just a great chapter. Loved it. It was very fun. So, what about you, Edoran?
Yes. So for me, if the last chapter, the seventh chapter, was a 6 out of 10, that was more like 7 out of 10. I still enjoyed the chapter. I especially loved seeing him on another side again. A bit more the ruthless knight instead of the Chet knight. But overall, I mean, we got some things from the new lands that we wished. Confirmed land sharks, other weird creatures. But overall, I mean, we are still gonna see the new lands again. It was just the first taste, I guess. But maybe more from the surroundings? I don't know. It was an okay chapter. Yeah.
You weren't as big a fan as the Silver Swords perspective? Did you want to see different perspectives in the new lands?
The swords were okay as an introduction from the new land. I would have liked to have more from the new lands instead of just. Maybe I'm a bit impatient, gerade, for now, but I would have just liked to see more of the
mysteries and stuff.
More of the mysteries, yes, but maybe we will come to that. I think this was just an introduction to the new lands. They got their asses kicked and just get out of there, and next time they will be prepared.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a lot like the horns in Crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
They need to explore and figure out how to explore well first before they go in and do anything major. And that kind of setup is required for what Pirate Abba wants to tell.
And I love the quote. One thing you learn as a gold rank adventurer when to run, and they just know, nope, don't be greedy like the merchant. We need to get the fuck out of here, or we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Edoran. Bleach Soul, I think you wanted to speak, though you pinged me in the wrong channel.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yes. I love this chapter. I give it actually 10 out of 10. I love it because of the adventuring. It's like pure adventuring chapter. Exploring, adventuring instead of like going to dungeons and just slay some monsters or whatever. is just like another kind of adventure where there's survival, exploring, learning the lands, and trying to eat, fish and making fire with no magic and stuff. So that's why I loved it a lot, like this chapter. And I like the fact that Ylawes is developing as a character, and actually it feels like a lot of them are developing like in tandem. When someone succeeds, like they all succeed and stuff like that. Uh, I still don't like Faline, to be quite frank, but she might grow on me. Um, but otherwise, yeah, I loved the chapter. I liked how Ylawes set the trade the merchant in their place. And I think they should look at the contracts. I mean, the Adventurer Guild, and see if they are like bound to it, like fully get controlled over it. It shouldn't be like that. There should be like a provisions where adventurers can break contract without any repercussions. So the contracts should be able to be fair to both sides. Yeah, but that's it for now.
Thank you, Bleach Soul. I definitely agree on your adventure take. This is just pure adventure, and Pirate always has done really, really great adventure chapters, and this is just one of those, in my opinion. It was awesome. I really, really loved it. The merchant contracts, they were so close to almost outright slavery, basically, just forcing people to uphold the contract to the letter. And it seems very suspect that merchants have contracts like that. Very suspect. And I kind of wonder how often merchants use those kind of clauses, even if they're told not to do it too often. But thank you, Blitzel. I'll start reading out some comments by people. Sir Bear says the chapter is really good. I want a different end where Ylawes overpowers a contract with his knight oath or lord/lordling oath. The actual end is still fine, but I wanted something better. 8 out of 10. In context, the previous chapter looks better and worse at the same time. I feel the Ylawes part should have been in this chapter, and a Nailoran/drowned/marish/more half-elves part to replace it. The half-elf part feels a bit out of place otherwise because they didn't really interact Ylawes, and Nailoran did more of it. Arca delenda est. We'll get more. We'll obviously get more and more other new land perspectives. I don't really know. I won't comment on how well it would fit in which chapter where. It's hard to say that for me without seeing what the overarching plot of those characters would be. Maybe Nailren isn't a primary focus right now. Maybe the drowned aren't. So many different things that could be different, but yeah. Thank you, Sir Bear. Kaineas says, things got a lot more interesting. The struggle was gripping to follow, in my opinion. Good chapter and story, and worth learning about the new lands in general. On the other hand, I still think that Dawil and Faline need more development. They kind of feel like their personality is their race and class, and they have barely any decent banter. I don't like cheering for character deaths, but if they aren't going to be developed, maybe it would be better for the story if in a future crisis they fall and the Silver Swords reform with the Poke duo, and maybe some surviving members of Vulio Dre or some new character. I completely disagree with you on Dawil, at the very least, not having any like character development or anything like that. I think Dawil in particular is really shown to be a very nice person who's always there with a helping hand, and I don't know. I think his character comes through quite a lot in how we see from what we see from him. He wasn't the focus here. Neither was Faline. Faline, she is a bit more of a bland character. We could definitely get more of her in the future. But yeah, I think we will now that you always got a nice POV for a while. Nobody says, I don't think it's a case of contract having power, but instead a relatively high-level merchant has a skill that allows him to enforce a contract and not something you have to worry about normally. That could be the case, but the fact that any merchant is getting these skills that allow them to enforce contracts is worrying, especially because the Merchants Guild says like don't necessarily do that, don't necessarily enforce contracts like that. It was something they specifically said in the chapter that the Merchants Guild like didn't like it when people did that too much. Mick says, I really enjoy Ylawes and his adventures and how the grimness of his situations are different to the Horns. I agree with Sir Barry. I wish it ended with him using his oath against the merchants, but I don't think the Oathbreaker's skill is a negative to his class. Solid pair of chapters, in my opinion. I don't agree the half-elves were out of place, though I expect the secondary point of views in the new lands. I hope Pava takes up more multi-POV for new lands chapters going forward, though, like Sir Bear suggested. I did like how Ylawes was able to break through the merchant's contract. Just a little bit of it went against what he's believed in for so long, and that's important because it shows that he can do things that even if they're on the surface not good actions, he knows that that's it's required in the end. He needs to do that to save his team and save everyone else. Natromo says this chapter was on the lower end for me. I did find plenty of things interesting, though. One of those things was how a more combat-oriented team like the Silver Swords compares to teams like Poke Duo, who are much more versatile in skills. Yeah, Poke Duo are, they're the quintessential adventurers. They're explorers. They're not there just for the combat. They're there to see the world. Whereas Ylawes and his team are definitely monster killers. They go to places, they prepare for monsters, and they try and deal with that situation rather than dealing with survival. Bleachsoul says he has to do what is necessary, not what is right. Although in this case, both are the same. Yeah, I do agree with that in many cases, but there are some cases where that's not the case for me. I'm just waiting for the rest of people to finish typing. Once we're done with these general thoughts, we'll move on to some more focused questions. Shending Help says, I like the vibe and emotions of the chapter a lot overall. 8 out of 10. Small nitpick about Poke Duo's role in the ending solution. I think the way Infinity Pair gets scared of active action was a good reason for keeping their food sources secret. But I think Rasktooth should have picked up on the problems with that at least fire starting and helped out earlier than he did. And if Rasktooth knew he had value info but decided to keep it for as long as he did, then I would have liked to have a Poke Duo point of view explaining the thought process and then talking about it together. Um, I do agree that Rasktooth and Infinity Pair could have used more of a point of view at some point to get a look into why they were holding back. The other people of the expedition did know that they were eating, they were eating like maggots, but even then they were not willing to do it. And so I think the fear that Infinity Pair was feeling really did just overpower them for a while. Survey says, "Oh yeah, I forgot to say this. Oh my god, why no one had matches? What the fuck?" That's a good question. I don't know why no one had matches. Maybe I would assume part of it had to do just with the whole magic situation. They probably had a lot of magical solutions to the whole fire starting issue that just went dead, just poofed. And they thought those magic solutions were far more reliable than having matches. Mockery Jones says, "Have to love Ylawes' hugging poke duo. Peak TWI interaction. The new lands aren't super interesting to me because there are no people there. TWI is a new world to the reader, so adding new empty lands to it seems like we're discovering something new, feels like putting a hat on a hat." Don't really agree with you there. It's a very different experience going from exploring a city with someone versus exploring completely new lands, new places. Sidehammer says, "I like this chapter more than last, which was something like a 5 out of 10 for me, making this about a 7 out of 10 or so." Alright, I think only a couple more people are typing. I'm gonna pick a question. Um, okay, alright. Let's just move on to the first question. I want to kind of give it a second because I know one person's typing still, so I'm going to wait a little bit. Shending Help says, oh wait, Mockery Jones says, "This installment definitely rescued the last." And Shending Help says, "Newlands as a plot point is a good way of bringing a lot of the world together in a way that wouldn't normally happen." And yeah, that's a very excellent point. This is a way for every single continent to be in one place interacting. All right, let's move on. Question is, what will happen to the Consortium after Ylawes and over half of the expedition left with him? What what do you see is going to happen in the future? Sir Barry, I see you just immediately ping. So how about I just let you go right away?
I thought you were going to do Edron first.
Oh, okay. Edoran, do you want to speak? Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yes, they are all gonna die. Hopefully. Um, maybe even I may, I have some scenarios in my head where they survive and get maybe like possessed by something and be an antagonistic group, and it's all quick theories in my head. But hopefully, I just hope they're all dying and getting a little bit of an horror chapter maybe where we have the POV from the rest of the survivors and they all just gruesomely meet their end.
Yeah, I so for me, I definitely think the most likely, the most rational outcome is they're just gonna die. They're gonna immediately die. But I think I have a theory that involves them like kind of finding whatever the magic drain source is, and whatever that source of magic draining is, it corrupts them in some way. And it either either it's a monster down there, it's a spell, something happens where after they find it and they immediately come to regret that. Because
Mm-hmm.
the mining expedition did get very close to reaching that magic drain source. And yeah, so I think that's set up. for what's going to happen to the Consortium after Ylawes leaves. But anyways, thank you, Edoron. Sir Bear, you're up.
I think the most interesting question is what happened to the merchant that went with Ylawes? Is he going to mess with Ylawes anyway? Is he going to defend Ylawes? Is he going to do nothing and Ylawes is going to protect him? Because the survivor will complain about the way the contract was made. The thing stuff was done. The merchant probably lost most of his gold. I forgot which one it was, and if he lost anything particular. I think that's the most interesting question to ask about because I don't know. Is he going? Is the merchant going to go to the Dark City to help them, or we don't? I don't know.
Yeah, it's. I do honestly think that the merchant is going to change. Like he's going to help them, and he's going to try and get redemption through assisting them in any way he can think of right now. Because he is obviously the most hated member of Ylawes' group right now. And so if he does anything he should know that if he does anything to go against the group consensus, he's going to suffer for it a lot. I do really think he will help them out in any way he can. He'll show that he's trite about what happened. But yeah, thank you, Sir Bear. Bleach Soul, how about you? Let's hear from you.
Yes, they will definitely die because they don't have any explorers, any hunters, any gatherers, anybody who can make fire, or their magical equipment are ran out of magic. Their food are like rotting, and they don't have any left. They're not the type that they go and dig up insects and eat. And I think they will die, and they become prey to shark land sharks, hopefully. So yeah, I don't think they have any survival abilities there, especially when the school of fish left them, and there are no slugs, no deer, no nothing. They can try to kill land sharks, but they will be overwhelmed if the whole group attack them. Yes.
Yeah, it's certainly. I think it's certainly the the most rational, the most obvious thing that's going to happen is they're literally just going to die because they do not have any means of surviving that make logical sense. But that's why I think the fact that they nearly got to the mana draining source is important because whatever is down there could help them in a lot of ways, or it could just kill them in a lot of different ways, or it could do anything really. It's the great unknown, and I think it's being set up for that in the future. Mick says, I think Monster Outbreak because it was supposed to have a cave system. Yeah, it could be a Monster Outbreak. We actually have a question on theories about the Magic Draining Source later. Mockery Jones says they're all going to either starve or become land shark food. If they get out though, Ylawes and House Barry's might be fucked. I don't think they will be fucked. Like anyone hearing about that situation will understand that the merchants were at fault. I don't think the merchants guild would back the merchants at all in that situation. Kanye says it is possible that the rescue team goes after them and bring a few of the merchants back to cause problems. Apart from that, they will probably be for a while in the if we didn't see their corpses or them dying, they are not dead limbo. So we could see their remnants later, or they could reappear at a bad moment. Mm-hmm. That's that limbo is what I'm thinking of. Is just it hasn't happened on screen yet, so I think it's very possible they come back at a bad moment. Sidehammer says I could see them coming back at some point and antagonize again, but aside from Salamander, I hope they die for their folly. Mockery Jones says 50 coins or 1/5 of your total wealth. Well, 1/5 of the Silver Sword's wealth, not House Byree's wealth. Shending Help says, I think it's possible someone from TWI could help if Ylawes or someone feels bad for them and asks for Mersha/someone to assist them, scouting, etc. So Holly says, some people are going to survive. They're going to eat each other and get red classes. We'll see them again, but the people won't be people, but monsters. Whoever finds them will find out what is draining the magic. Perhaps Lionette will sponsor a large rescue operation with resources that discovers the survivors. Yeah, I don't know about Lionette. It could be, the Knights of the Solstice could be instrumental in coming to the new lands. That could be really an interesting plot point. And you're right that red classes and them turning into monsters is certainly very likely too. All right, going back a little bit, Samu, you wanted to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was thinking of, especially regarding Salamander as an elite guard, it would be very nice for him to pull through and at the end somehow end up at the Wandering Inn as a guard. Because the one big problem of the Wandering Inn is that they don't have dedicated guards. So it would be cool if we got an elite guard at some point.
They have guards?
Say that again, Adoran?
They have guards. They have a whole security thingy going on there. And the murder holes and all the traps in the hallway, if I recall correctly.
They do have some, yeah. I don't think it's enough though. But Lionette's going to be hiring more.
She has the money.
Yeah, she does. Thank you, Samu. Yash Ketchum, you wanted to speak now?
Hi, yeah. So I have a theory. I think they die, and I think maybe the merchants die, or maybe some of the people are gonna die. Salamander is gonna survive because now he's a named. Now we have a vested interest. There is a backstory there. There was a red herring over there. So I think red herring, is that what it's called? Anyways. I think we're gonna see more of Salamander. And I think we're gonna have one of those moments where it's like Salamani and Salamander are both gonna be in the inn at the same time. And it's gonna blow Erin's mind at some point, maybe like next volume or something. But that's gonna happen. And I do think there is a monster down there. That monster is gonna come out, it's gonna eat the merchants. The guards are gonna run away, and I think Salamander is gonna end up joining this guy's adventuring team. And after a point, they'll go back to the inn, and then that's where he's gonna stay.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's an
that's my
interesting. That's an interesting theory. I'm not sure if we'll ever see Salamander again. I would like to see him again. I would like for him to survive, but honestly, he feels like a pretty minor character for now. We'll see in the future if Pirate Abba decides to come back to him. But yeah,
I just
he's
want the whole Salamander Salamani thing. I mean, if that happens, I will be so happy with this whole series. I can
yeah.
die in peace if that happens.
Yeah, that would be funny.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you, Yash. Bleach Soul says Aaron can make elementals and they can buy golems for protection. He was defeated easily by Ylawes. I think you mean Salamander was easily defeated, and yeah, he was. Aaron can make elementals. I'm not sure if Aaron can actually make elementals. I'm not sure about that. Plus, Aaron is in Belarus right now, so not sure if she could send them there either. Anyways, Shending Help says Salamander def needs a redemption arc if he's to become likable. He annoyed me more than the merchants in some ways. I don't think he annoyed me as much. Like, he was obviously under a contract that was much more extreme than Ylawes was under, and for most of the bad stuff that happened. And when he decided to stay, I mean, he's not staying to like force other people to stay. He's staying to help the people there, which is in its way good. It just helping those people who have done so much to him isn't very it's not the best decision on his part, but I mean, Shendik Help says, was he? I thought it was implied he wasn't and was loyal. No, he definitely has a contract. He even said he couldn't read at one point, and that is why he doesn't know exactly what his contract says. I think that's it for this question. If there's anything else you guys want to say, go ahead and keep typing. I'm gonna look for the next question. I guess I'm just gonna combine two questions because they both deal with theories on stuff in the New Lands. So, theories on what the magic drain source will turn out to be, and what do you guys think was up with the big ravine that we saw, and we see someone exploring it sometime in the future? Both of these are basically just any theories you guys have about some of the wonders and weird stuff that we've seen in the New Lands. And if you have any other theories, go ahead and say those too. But Adron, did you want to say anything about this? Any theories you have for the New Lands? What's going on in the New Lands?
Not right now. Just I know too little of it to make any really theories. Again, just hopefully like really dangerous and interesting.
Just want some danger and interest in the New Lands? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. For me, I think it's really hard to say with any certainty what any of this is, but I think I have like two main theories about what the magic drain is, because there's magic drain literally all over the New Lands apparently, and it's not just one source; it's happening everywhere. So either this plot of land could be part of like where Kraken's nest, I think, and it's Kraken eggs. They're like sucking up the magic around them. That's one theory I have. Kraken eggs, which isn't a good theory, but it's interesting to me at least. But the other theory I have was that it's part of the spell that Kishkaria and the other gnolls use to raise the land. It's like it could be literally generating ore as we speak, and it's doing that consistently. And it keeps generating new stuff in the New Lands over months and years. Also, the big ravine is probably just it's probably just a place where a lot of monsters are gonna gather, and it's where some nasty stuff is. Anyways, Mockery Jones says Kraken eggs leads to land krakens, which is freaking awesome. Yeah, I especially land krakens. That would be some scary stuff. Sidehammer says, could it be the same thing that was draining magic in the Crossroads? Maybe it could be. I think actually though the Crossroads was like it was uniform draining of mana rather than there being sources for it. Mick says we should name the big ravine something. like the Buckrack of Israel. God damn it! No, we shouldn't do that. Samu, you wanted to speak.
Yeah, I had so with the magic train source, there's only two possibilities, or three in total. One, the magic train source is some kind of monster, so it's death for everyone. Or the second one, that it's some kind of like money or money making thing that if you get it out, or it's both. So if you kill the monster, it's worth a lot. And then I got the idea that maybe it's a spell from the Archmage, that at some point those things are saturated, and then it's like like a seed that's been basically fed by all the magic that's coming in through the new people. And when they all become ripe, it becomes some kind of tree or something, or maybe not a tree, but something that's really cool, that's very magical. That would be nice. And on the big ravine, what I was thinking a lot about is it could lead to a lot of vertical exploring into or yeah, that instead of horizontal like we've seen a lot of. And it would be, maybe Salazar would be a very cool group to see around.
Yeah, I do agree with a lot of what you just said, especially just the monster thing. The only thing, my only issue with the whole it's monsters is that it's spread out over the entire New Lands, and that's a huge piece of land. So, what monsters could it be that all drain mana towards them, and why are they so spread out over the New Lands? That would be my big question about, like, why is this monster here? What is its goal? Or why is it so spread out? That kind of thing. But yeah, otherwise, good theories. Thank you, Samuel. Yash, how about you go next?
So I don't think it's krakens. I do think it's some kind of magical being. I don't think it's krakens. I think it might be dragons. I think there might be dragon eggs buried under there. And I remember very vaguely, Teriak thinking about the remaining dragons and how there was at least one who went into the sea. And it just seems really possible that it's dragon eggs, because the amount of mana drain that's there is insane. And it has to be a whole nest of them. Otherwise, again, it's it's probably like nodes. Either that, or it's like it's like what was happening with the Knolls, right? You had the teleportation network, which at some point used to be worldwide. You had the teleportation network. The nodes of those teleportation network are buried underneath, and they might just be okay. Oh, this is a different theory. They might just be gateways into the crossroads of Israel, because the only way our horns were able to enter the crossroads of Israel was through the white guy's skill, right? Through, I forgot his name, but through his skill, right? What if these are entry points to the crossroads of Israel that don't need a skill? Something like Aaron's door or something. So those are my prevailing theories at the moment.
I like the crossroads theory, actually. That would be really cool to have, like, kind of links to the crossroads throughout the New Lands. That's a good one. I do like it. Let me read out some more comments. Mick says, "Do we know what soulstone is? One of the suggested ores from the merchants was soulstone. I don't think we do. I can't recall anything about it." Sidehammer says, "What happened to the Knoll Necromancer after the solstice? Could we find him in the New Lands?" He apparently was still on the bottom of the sea, so unless that was like a red herring, Like that was just where he was before, but he's not actually on the bottom of the sea. Unless that's a red herring, he's still like in a coffin at the bottom of the sea. He might have woken up now. He might come to and terrorize the world, but we don't know where he is right now. Natromo says, "You thought they were gone. You thought you were safe. The scourge over here has returned. Galax smashes his fist up through the ground." Oh, you think it's Antinium? Okay. That's interesting. I don't agree at all. I don't know how the Antinium would get magic sucking, magic draining abilities, but yeah. Bleach Soul, you're up next.
Yeah. Well, I know that Pauline said it has to be like some kind of creature sucking the magic, but I'm not sure about that. Actually, I think because Kishkaria used such a huge magic, such ancient one, and she used so much power that it sucked the magic out of the new lands, and it will take time for it to build up. Besides, we have the comment that this land is made for the gnolls, and we have the comment that Nailren is thriving because gnolls herd. They are herders and hunters. So it's probably. I'm not sure if it's a creature. It could be, but I think it's more because of it's specifically made for a certain population or certain species that thrives on open lands and like herd animals and hunt. Yeah, that's it.
It's definitely clear that Kishkaria did try and make this a land for gnolls rather than just made it for everyone. And so you're right. It could be something related to that. And Kishkaria is trying to leave something for the future gnolls. I just wonder what it could be. It's hard to figure out what that could be. Shending, help! You wanted to speak.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, cool. So I don't have like a super specific theory, but I have some like general thoughts of the source. And my thought is that even with how strong Kishkaria was, I don't think it's natural that she's like drawing her innate magic and just lifting it up like by herself, or like maybe she had some help with the other ghosts. I don't remember, but I think she needed to draw from some like already existing source. Is my thought. So my thought is that she knew that these magic sources were like under the water somewhere in a specific place. So she had some way of connecting to them. And I also think that since she knew they were there, they would have to like have some way to survive. And I think this magic collecting or like mana collecting activation thing has been active for like thousands and thousands of years underwater. And that's why they're still there. And she knows that. So she had some way of connecting to them and rose the thing up using them. That's my thought.
That actually gives me an idea. Maybe this part of the sea is where the glass continent, the sixth one, the one that was destroyed in the past, Tyrannus, is. Maybe this is part of that.
Possible.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think of what could be like spread out over such a large area of the sea that's like sucking up mana. And that's kind of what comes to mind, is it's like part of the man-made continent. Anyways.
Yeah, it definitely feels like man-made, and it also feels like these magic sources probably has some connection between each other as well, whether it's like just jumping over the distances or they have some kind of root system that connects them, because otherwise it doesn't make sense that they would be spread out in a like very like they're it's implied that they're covering this whole area, right? So it feels very like node-like, and they should have to have some connection between them, or some would probably die out, or like some would grow bigger than the others. I don't know. They have some way of diversing the energy between them, I think.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. All right. Thank you, Shending. I see one other person typing. Mockery Jones says, Would be interesting if whatever is draining the mana eventually intersects with Yelrone's search for mathematic approach to magic. Yeah, he could study though he is pretty far away, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, I think that's it for this question. Let's move on to another, possibly the last question. Is any group prepared for the pitfalls of the new lands, and who is going to come out on top in the end? Who's going to win this race for colonizing the new lands? And Edoron, what do you think?
It would be awesome. It would be if it would be goblins, because they should be one of the first to go there, because goblins are everywhere. Goblins can survive everywhere. I mean, maybe it's mana sucking death over there, or death beyond death. Who knows? But it would be interesting to have a goblin tribe be the first to have to settle there and get their POV from another goblin tribe. Not Rags on her group, but I don't know, a new tribe just building up their life in the new lands.
Yeah, goblins is actually a good one. I like that. We need more goblins to show the world that they're the best ever.
I mean, they could survive there because it's
Yeah.
what they do, you know?
Yeah, goblins survive everywhere. Maybe this is an opportunity for goblins to have their own land. Just screw the gnolls. Screw the gnolls.
Yeah, maybe, but problem is everything and everywhere is gonna flood the new lands now.
True.
And yeah, what do you do when you see a goblin?
You kill them.
Correctly.
What? No, it's not correctly. This is like your garlic sucks take.
Sadly. No, I like no. I like goblins. I like them, I like them, I like them. I just don't like that they're like garlic. But that's another thing.
All right, thank you, Edoron. Bleach Soul, you want to speak?
Yeah, I actually agree. I think goblins, gnolls, and Antinium will be the most adaptable species on the new lands. Antinium don't have mana, and they don't need mana, and they can dig up the ground. They can eat, like goblins. They can eat insects and stuff, so they can survive easily there. Gnolls, of course, because they can hunt and herd animals. Goblins the same as Antinium. So these three groups, I think, they are the most. They will have the easiest time to survive. Uh, in the new lands.
All right. Thank you. I think that's actually pretty good thought right there. I do really want the Antinium to kind of expand out from the Hivelands, and this is certainly a very good opportunity. That actually brings up, that could be where what's her name is. So what's the Twisted Queen? She could be in the Newlands right now. We don't know, but it's pretty close to the Hivelands, so it'd be pretty easy for her to have made a base of operation there. Sir Bear, you want to speak?
I think there's two type of people that can survive the new land, excluding the goblin and the NTM, because those can survive anywhere. There's the nomad people like the gnolls, and probably the centaur if they go there. Or if they can't go there because the Dualand are probably blocking them by controlling the navy, but that's another problem. I think the centaur, if they manage to go to the new land, they will have a chance. They are nomadic people. They can survive. They can travel across the land. I'm not sure if they have shaman or I know they can be mage, but I don't know if they have a shamanic culture that could replace it for a bit. And The other type of people is, I think, the coastal people. The people that would live around the coast, because any coast is a good coast, pretty much. So the drowned people, obviously, because they're staying near water, they can do their water stuff. The lizard. It has been said when the lizard declared the war on the Drake, they were trying to transform the land into swamp. There's lizard and dishonest because there's swamp and it's muddy over there. So you can assume they can live around the coast. I think that's the three other species that could survive the most in the new land. The coastal species and the nomadic one.
Hmm. I really do think centaurs would do really well. The issue is centaurs hates the water. Like,
Yeah, that's a problem.
yeah, getting a centaur colony started. I don't know if the centaurs have ever left Belarus in any significant numbers.
Well, they can travel via near send an army to temporarily
yeah.
recruit the centaur and for teleportation, and up here we go.
Yeah, that could happen too, yeah. But thank you. Thank you, Sir Bear. Good points. Mockery Jones says Knowles, obviously, it was made for them. Mick says Knoll Goblin Ant Alliance, and Mockery Jones also says centaurs don't graze. They'll have the same issue as humans and other species that require the ability to grow crops. I think they do graze somewhat. Like, when we met Charlie way back, she liked eating some grass and oats and stuff. I do think,
And also, do you think the Nyol graze too? They
yeah,
don't eat herbs; they eat meat.
yeah, that's true. Bacon Synergy says allies of TWI will come out on top. Gnolls, ants, and goblins will thrive. So species already allied with TWI. The end can scry anywhere now and have access to an archmage that can teleport. Yeah, good synergies, like your name. Anyway, sending help. What about you? What's your opinion?
Well, I think a lot of it is going to depend on how well the different groups or species, but mostly I'm thinking groups, have defined their goals. So I think the species or groups that go there with the general intention of like prepare a bit and then go and we're gonna settle and then we're gonna go search some stuff and see what happens. I think that side of the spectrum is gonna run into too many problems to handle. While groups like, let's say, for example, Magnolia, who's just going or sending people there to find Rochelle and kill them. I think like that's a very clearly defined goal that's also not gonna depend on like what challengers the new land throws at her as much. And people in general, I think long term are gonna be more happy if they like not if they don't invest too much initially and they information gather and then go in there with a specific goal once they have the information. I don't know exactly which like groups would fall into that because I don't have that information yet, but we will see. If we're talking general species, I think like gnolls and drakes because they live closest and can like send the most people there over years and years and years, or like more people are interested in going there compared to other continents. Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you. Good points. Good points. I do think groups with dedicated goals and realistic goals are definitely going to come out more on top than groups that are more widespread.
Oh yeah, also like Keb's goal of finding like the thing that would help versus the gods, and like his species is gonna follow that. So they have a very coordinated goal as well. So they would also fall into that category.
Yeah. I hope we get to see Kilb soon, at the very least. I really miss Kilb. I want to see how he's doing. Anyways, thank you, Shinding. Let's move on to Samu.
Yeah, for me, it all comes down to the politics of it and basically who has the least enemies, and especially the ones who are spread out or want to have a full colony and not just one very condensed outpost. They will be ground down by all the enemies around. So the Terrandrians with Askirash and stuff. So they all small groups of them will be wiped out within minutes, basically. So I definitely think it's those that have the best alliances and also the ones who are the least antagonizing to others. And I think the Knolls have the best outpost there. They've had basically a attempted genocide happen and stuff. So everything done publicly to them is not seen very favorable recently. So yeah, it's all about the politics in the end.
Politics are king, yeah. Yash, you're up next.
I think, yeah, like Samu said, I think it's going to be largely based on politics. But I think one group that particularly survives is the drowned folk. I'm really excited. I hope, like, in the coming chapters, we get to see the city of the drowned folk. I think they'll know how to deal with the salted land. I think there's going to be a lot of information that will be brokered through them, information that will be learnt via them. They might even set up their own brand of, they might even set up their own magic school. The way, the way you have in Chandra, there's some school, right? Magic school. And the way you have Festival, I think the drowned folk might do that. Another group that I think will really thrive here, and I'm hoping we can see them this south. I haven't seen them make any moves. Are the witches? I think the death of Oliaya might trigger the witches to start traveling again, and I think they'll be inclined to come down and check out the new lands. They might just do well here. Of course, we have the regular candidates like the Knolls and the Goblins and the Antonium, but they're survivalists. I don't want to think of survivalists here who'll do well. Of course, they'll do well. But as a group who possesses those very unique characteristics that might have an edge over here, is definitely the witches, and it's definitely the drowned folk, in my opinion.
The witches is
Hello.
an interesting one. Do you expect the witches to come to the Newlands?
Yeah, I think some of them will.
Okay.
And I think they might come if Nanette calls them.
That's all right. That's a very interesting theory, especially because witches are kind of like very human in most of them are humans. I think we've met one non-human witch, and that's the goblin witch. But
Correct.
go ahead, Yesh.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, yeah, that's right. Like, I think for human beings, witches is a very interesting category to thrive in these lands.
Hmm. Yeah, I hope we get some witches. I just hope we get witches in general. I want to see more of them, even if it's just in Laken's Empire or if it's in the Newlands. I want witches. Witches are cool.
Witches are cool. Agreed.
Yeah, I've been rereading the Witch arc lately, and yeah, it's a great arc, and I miss witches. All right.
Yeah, a quick comment on that. I think
Yes.
the witches are gonna win big on like Erin's campaign to accept like Antinium and goblins because witches won't sound as bad in comparison. So I think everyone will accept witches more and more as the years go on.
That's certainly possible. Yeah, you're right. All right. Dart Time Goo says to boldly go where Knoll Man has gone before. Thank you for that. And with that pun, I'm gonna end the recording. It's been about an hour. We got through almost all the questions. Yeah, this was a good discussion. Why can't I stop the? Weird. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong post. This was the after chapter discussion for 10.03. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm stopping recording now.